Alright, what's going on, guys? This is Destiny Heroic, and I'm coming at you with my next Cardfight Vanguard deck profile. This is going to be Dark Irregulars. This was the most voted for clan from my last deck profile, so here we go. First thing you'll notice is that my starter is not Greedy Hand. Greedy Hand, I feel his effect is more suited towards a Bladewing Reggie deck, or at least a deck that wants specific cards in the soul, like anything that's using like the Demon Bikes or the Demon's Chariot series of units. I am not using either of those. This is an Amon build, so that's why I'm using this guy. This has more synergy with the deck that I'm using. He does go back into soul, and he can search for a grade 3, which is useful because I'm only using 7 in this deck. So that was long-winded, so let's move on to the grade 0 lineup. I'm using 6 critical triggers, 4 knights, and 2 Blitzritter. I like to have the knights at 4 because they can go into the soul and build up the soul if necessary. And with, as I said, this is an Amon deck, so Amon gets pretty big in the late game, so if they don't null guard it and they just let it go, you want to be able to hit some criticals for that free attack. And I'm using 6 draw triggers, and of course 4 heal triggers after that. There's the Curse Doctor. I like to use a lot of draw triggers in this deck because I've seen the way people play Dark Irregulars. They will try to fill up the soul as quickly as possible in the early game and wind up having no cards for the late game. So this is to sort of mitigate that tendency to fill up your soul really fast by expending your hand. But you really want to be able to play this deck conservatively. So I've designed it so that the soul charging is gradual and not very instant. But if you want to build the soul up quickly, you can use Hysteric Shirley. She has a soul charge ability. She goes into soul and then something else goes into soul after it. So you can build up your soul pretty quickly using that. But like I said, I've not designed this deck to go very fast in terms of soul charging. And ideally, the soul that you want to be able to hit is around 6 to 8. It will go higher than that, but a soul of 6 will put him on at 16, boosted by something will put him over 20, boosted by a 10k will put him at 26, and those are magic numbers. You can also easily get him up to 8, and 18 is the number you want to hit on those cross rides. So, moving on, grade 1s, obviously the obligatory March Rabbits for no guards. And I'm using a couple of Succubus, the Alluring Succubus and the Courting Succubus. Now, if anybody is looking to build this deck, it really doesn't matter which one of these you use. You can go 4 Alluring and 4 Courting, or just however many you want. Alluring Succubus will soul charge upon hitting the field. Courting Succubus will soul charge upon boosting a battle that hits a Vanguard. So you really have to think, do you want the guaranteed single soul charge, or do you want the risky, potentially more than one soul charge throughout the game? It's really which way you want to go. It doesn't matter, really. And for the extra power, I'm using 4 Prisoner Beast, just the 8k guy. Stick those behind your 9Ks and your 10Ks and hit for good numbers. Also, you can put him in the front row if need be, and he can hit those special interceptors and stuff like that. And I'm using 2 Devil Childs. You can hit 6 soul really easily in this deck. Like I said, the goal ideally is to hit 6 to 8 soul, which will activate this. Put this behind an Amon, and you can swing for huge numbers. So, if you didn't know, this is the 10k guard for Dark Irregulars. It's also probably the easiest 10k, well, not a 10k guard, a 10k booster. It's probably the easiest 10k booster to fulfill the effect of, too. All you need is 6 soul, and she adds 4,000 to the boosted unit, as long as it's a Vanguard. So that was grade 1s. Into grade 2s, I'm using 2 Decadent Succubus. This is one of those cards that people will play and then dump their entire hand to soul charge a lot. I'm trying to stay away from that, so I'm only using 2 so that this doesn't get ridden a whole lot. So basically, it's if this is the Vanguard, every time you place a Dark Irregulars on the board, you soul charge 1. And you can stack soul charging by playing Flirtatious Succubus. I'm using 4 of these, and like I said, this is just like a grinding, conservative, gradual soul building deck. So soul charging 1 whenever you play one of these is basically what this deck is designed to do. And if you ride a Decadent and then call a Flirtatious, then you soul charge twice. And like I said, your goal is 6. So that's not hard to do. 3 Emblem Masters. Emblem Master is one of those cards that could potentially scare your opponent into guarding something that they probably shouldn't guard. If he hits a Vanguard, you counterblast 1 and soul charge 3. Getting this guy's effect off just once is probably enough for this deck. You'd probably want to get it off more in a Bladewing Reggie deck, but this isn't Bladewing Reggie, so yeah, that's what that guy's for. And I am using 2 Gwyn the Rippers. This is not a common choice for Dark Irregular decks. My biggest problem when playing this deck was that it has very little crowd control options. So the opponent, you're playing Royal Paladins, they spam out a full field of 5 guys, and you soul charged a bit so your hand is small, and you just have no way to defend yourself, so you just have to sit back and take it. This can help mitigate those plays. You can blow up a grade 2, you can blow up the Blaster Blade in the front row so that they can't do a Majesty Lord play. You can blow up the Wingle Brave in the back row so that they can't go get their Majesty Lord. So basically, you use this guy like a Berserk Dragon in Kagero. You just get rid of a unit that's causing you problems, and you go and you attack another rear guard and possibly get rid of 2 units. And the last card I'm using is the grade 2 Demon of Aspiration Amon. If your soul is 6 or more, he's 11k. So he's a decent beater. Anybody who's building this deck on their own, you could probably switch this out for a Dark Soul Conductor. He's the guy who, if you guard and he goes to the drop zone, you soul charge 2. But the reason I'm using this guy is because he can be an 11k grade 2 and hitting some decent power. You'll notice that all of my other grade 2s are 9ks. It's really good to be able to hit some good numbers without having to put your grade 3s in the rearguard circle. So speaking of grade 3s, there's only 7. Obviously the deck is built to ride this guy in the late game. And his effect is he gains 1,000 per Dark Irregular in the soul. So by the time you ride this guy, he's going to be around probably 13, 14, unless you've been doing a bunch of soul charging, in which case he'll be 16 to 17. And by the time you hit late game, this guy can easily be swinging for 21 unboosted, which is really good. And his retiring effect is kind of unreliable because your opponent chooses which card to retire. But I mean, if you can use it and build up your soul a little bit. I don't recommend using it a lot, especially not more than once a turn, because if you're not being conservative, you're going to run out of cards and you're not going to be able to guard whatever they have to throw at you. And I'm using 3 of the Dark Lord of Abyss. The reason I opted to play this guy is if Amon is in the Vanguard circle, then you want a grade... If you draw other grade 3s, then you want to be able to put them in the rear guard. And This guy is the best for a rear guard, I think, because he has an 11k body and he can threaten vanguards unboosted. He can threaten rear guards unboosted and stuff like that. And if you do have to ride him, he's got kind of a watered down version of Amon. He gets the same boost, but he can add more to the soul, and it's a limit break. So that's the deck. Like I said, this deck, you can't play Dark Irregulars just like a spam fest. You can't soul charge a whole bunch and then not have anything and rely on your big Amon attacks to ride out the game. So I've designed this deck to be more conservative, and you have to really kind of play it slowly. Don't expend your hand too quickly. So if anybody's going to try that, let me know how it turns out, because I'm kind of afraid to play this in a tournament because it's still like a tier 2, a low tier deck. But I've played Gold Paladin, I've played Spike Brothers, and I've beaten them with this deck. So it's a good deck, and it's a lot of fun to play if you can get it going. And when your Amon is boosted by a Devil Child and swinging at 35,000 per turn, and they don't have null guards, it's really fun. So that's the deck. Let me know what you think. I don't have any suggestions for the next deck profile, but post down below if there's anything you'd like to see. Obviously, I still have Bermuda Triangle, I still have Spike Brothers, but whatever deck you want to see, just post below, and like this video for more Vanguard content, and thanks for watching. Peace.